Hey you guys, greetings and salutations. This is James here at Unique Perspectives. Thought I'd make another video. I actually wanted to discuss the infamous topic of men dating and considering dating single mothers. And I want to talk about maybe 6 concerns I believe most guys have when it comes to considering dating a single mother. Now I think that obviously men and women, we all think very differently. So there are some things that a lot of us men have to think about when we are considering pursuing a mother, someone that, maybe things didn't work out in her previous relationship or relationships. Maybe it was her marriage and now she has a responsibility to take care of her child or children. And as a man, for example, a bachelor who, I've never been married and I don't have any children. And there are things that I have to consider when entertaining the idea of being with a single mother. And so I'm not making this video because I'm trying to ride down on single mothers. I've dated maybe 2 in my life up to this point, and they weren't necessarily negative because of the fact that they were mothers. So if anybody's like watching this video because they're trying to find more ammunition to attack women who are single mothers, this is not the video for you. I'm not a red pill guy. I don't agree with everything the red pill or the overall manosphere teaches. There are some little nuggets I do think that is very realistic, that applies to reality, but there are a lot of things I don't agree with. I am a Christian. I'm a man with conservative values, so I have no problem at all dating and even potentially marrying a woman who is a single mother if she's the right fit for me. She's a Christian woman, she has conservative values, and we align, right? But I want to get to these 6 areas because I think that they can be very educational for both men and women, especially women, because some of you, I think some ladies don't really think about the fact that we men, we have to think about these different areas and we have to consider things that maybe you're not thinking about from our end. So I just wanted to discuss this. And for the gentlemen that are checking out this video, please, I would love to hear your thoughts. And do you agree with some of these points? Do you disagree? And, if you want to just share in the comments your thoughts, please, I'm going to be reading every comment. So please feel free. But I just want to go through these 6 points, and they're basically just concerns that most guys have when considering dating a single mother. So number 1 I'm going to say is really just the fundamental issue I think that we all are thinking about as men going into a relationship with a woman who is a mother is, will she have time for me? Will she have time for me? That's the most basic fundamental thing is, will you have time for me? Do you have time to invest in your children and me? Now, one thing I will say is that, like I said earlier in the video, I've actually dated 2 separate women, Latinas. They were mothers, and the first lady had only 1 child. I think it was around 7 at the time. And I dated another woman that had a total of 3 children. And what was interesting about this predicament is that the woman who had 1 child seemed to be really difficult to date, and she was always investing so much time in her relationship with her son that it made it very difficult for us to connect. However, the woman with 3 children, however, she seemed to not have an issue actually investing in time with me. She made time a lot to connect with me. In fact, she's married now, and I even went to her wedding, so we're still friends, and it's amazing how, just to see how, our relationship has matured and grown in a very mature fashion. But she really showed me that just because you're a mother, it doesn't mean that it needs to be an issue. But not every woman can navigate her time and manage her time the way that that lady did. And so it's a real genuine concern. Are you going to be able to make time for me? Let's say our relationship is growing and we are trying to pursue something more serious. It's going to be difficult for you to manage the time that you have with your children versus managing your time with me. Most likely those children are going to come first, and I'm not going to be in a position to challenge that. And so it can be very difficult for me to want to invest in a woman who is a single mother versus someone who maybe doesn't have children. And so it's just something I want to present to you ladies, because again, I'm not somebody who's saying don't date single mothers. I have no issue doing that even today. It's things that we need to be genuinely concerned for as men. Is that going to be an obstacle moving forward? Another point with this is just, it's nearly impossible to properly build a relationship, something strong that has a strong foundation, if we're not investing enough time in actually taking the time to build those parameters and understand what direction we're going. I know that there are some ladies that are very good at managing, just gradually working on the relationship with the man that they're with, even as a mother. But, realistically, sometimes it doesn't work out very well because maybe there are other avenues or different situations that are happening with the child that will prevent those areas of us working towards towards something together. The child might get sick very often. It's like, okay, if it's, me or let's be realistic, it's going to be your child you're going to choose over, me. And not that I'm saying, you should choose me over your child, but yeah, it would be an obstacle for both of us. And it's almost easier just to go manage, a relationship with someone who doesn't have children versus someone who does have children when I'm trying to build something. Like me, for example, as a man with conservative Christian values, every week I would be strategically trying to build towards us not only dating properly and moving towards marriage, but even what does our relationship look like long term? Where are we going to live? How much money should we be aiming to make? What does our finances going to look like? Me, for example, I don't believe in using credit cards, so we would have to have a savings that would allow us to have the liberty of buying what we need, but also having that nest egg to, and we can't do that if, we're not spending enough time together and there are other obstacles that are preventing you from meeting with me so we can kind of connect together every week. Hope that makes sense. Another concern would be discipline. If I have a child with someone and, obviously we're going to have already addressed how we're going to discipline our son and daughter. But let's say, for example, I am connecting with a lady and she's not comfortable with my approach of discipline. For example, I am someone who believes in spanking, corporal punishment. I don't believe in abusing children, but I received spankings. It straightened me up. The Bible teaches actually in spanking. In fact, I have some verses here I wanted to share with you guys just to reinforce that, because I don't want you guys to think I'm just sharing my opinion about that. The Bible says in Proverbs 23:13 through 14, it says, "Do not withhold discipline from a child. If you strike him with a rod, he will not die. If you strike him with the rod, you will save his soul from Sheol." Sheol is another way of making reference to hell. So the Bible is saying, hey, if you give that rod of reproof, of discipline, you can actually prevent your child from going, becoming a wayward child. And so there are some women that may not be prepared for that. There are some people that they just want to talk to their child and they don't want to actually offer a little spank or a little pat or something like that. They want to do the timeout thing, and everyone has different styles. But as a Christian, I'm going to obey the Bible. I want to do that. And so the question is, are you going to be okay with, me taking that sort of approach with someone that is not biologically mine, or even would I even be comfortable with that? And so these are genuine concerns for a man like myself trying to consider being with somebody, in a real genuine relationship, but we would have to discuss that, but there are a lot of ladies, I imagine, they would not be okay with that. I have one more verse I wanted to share regarding this. It says Proverbs 13:24. It says, "Whoever spares the rod hates his son, but he who loves him is diligent to discipline him." So again, the Bible is even going as far as saying, if you don't discipline your child and, apply that rod, you actually hate them. You don't actually care about them at all. And so there are some people, I've even presented this to ladies, and they're not open to it. They're not open to it at all. And I'm thinking, this is not my opinion. This is actually God speaking, through his word. And so that is something that can be very challenging, or it could be the way I approach the child. Maybe I'm a little bit more stern, but is my partner going to be okay with my stern approach? There are times when I'm going to approach something very differently than how she would. I'm a man. I have masculine energy. She's a woman. She has a completely different approach with how she would tolerate something. If our son or daughter, let's say my stepchild, decides that they want to run away constantly, I might decide to put them out. Now they're 18. But what if my wife, that's her biological son or daughter, decides, well, she wants to go against me and she's not comfortable with that. That's a concern for a lot of us guys. It's like, what direction are we going to go when it comes to discipline? And so, of course, I would initiate those conversations with someone, but sometimes people can be inconsistent. They can say one thing at one time and then later on they change it up. And so as for men, that can be a concern for us, is what does discipline look like in our household if that child that you have is not biologically mine? Are you going to be concerned, or are you going to be okay with me applying discipline regardless of what that looks like? Are you going to be trusting with me? Or are you going to trust me enough to handle that as the leader of the household? Number 3, I think, is in the back of every guy's mind, and that is, do we have to worry about you potentially going back to the father of your children? Obviously, he attracted you at some point, so there are a lot of ladies that will still keep the door open for the father of their children, and because he's already experienced you intimately, maybe he's done everything with you at an intimate level, it's almost like, the door is always open. Some women can close that door and move forward and be with their new relationship, but other people, not so much. They still have that emotional attachment to that person. They still miss the way he, his scent was, or his voice, or those intimate moments, and that's something that a lot of us, we're a little fearful of. We can be a little concerned for, and it's not always about whether we're secure with ourselves. You could just be someone that, to a fault, you could be keeping yourself accessible to someone. I've had situations in my life where I entertained the idea of being with somebody, and they kept the door open for certain people that have already demonstrated that the people don't even care about. They don't, the men don't care about that woman, but the woman she just keeps the door open. They're with each other. They have to meet up. If they have to have a discussion and they're by themselves, they're prone to slip into something. And I just want to remind you all that 70% of divorces in our country is initiated by women. This is something that men have to be concerned for. If she's college educated, that divorce rate goes up to 90%. Okay, so again, the statistics isn't always in favor of men, but for us guys like myself that are genuinely trying to connect with a woman who happens to be a single mother, the question is, can we trust you? Do we have to worry about you bouncing back and forth? I've met quite a bit of ladies in my time where they have demonstrated that they are very inconsistent with what they say. They can tell you they love you while their heart is with everyone else, or they're distributing their body with other people. And so it's just a regular thing. And I'm talking about ladies of all different cultures. So, it can be very tricky for us guys who mean well to want to consider being with someone when you've already opened yourself to maybe even multiple people. And you don't even have to be a mother. I know people that are single, ladies that are single. They've distributed their lives and their bodies intimately to multiple men, and so it makes it difficult to want to bond with a woman who's already been exposed to multiple men and been intimate and offered herself to these men. It's hard. So just trying to give you guys a little peek behind the curtain of some of the thoughts of us men. And again, I'm not against single mothers at all. I'm somebody that is for marriage. I'm a Christian. I think that marriage is one of the most beautiful things that God has created other than life itself. So number 4, another concern regarding the father of your child. Let's say, for example, you're not romantically connected to him at all. Okay, you're not attracted to him at all. But what if he is an issue? Okay, now I know that not every woman has lived a very reckless life, but I know some ladies that dated ex-gang members, and people that are problematic. Maybe they have psychological issues. They're in and out of jail, and so now they're bringing that drama not only in the life of my partner, but now me. Now it's affecting me and my schedule, my relationship, and maybe my job and things like that. And so sometimes it's almost easier for some guys to just say, well, let me just be with somebody who has less interactions with someone, or maybe they don't have children at all. At least we don't have to now entertain the idea of connecting with this bizarre guy, this ex, and potentially his problematic family. There are times when maybe it's not necessarily the guy that's the issue, but it's his family. It's his mother and his father. And I know some people that they're going through that right now. It's not necessarily the guy, but it's the guy's family that's complicating things and being problematic and bringing the issues when it comes to court, when it comes to who's going to see the child, and knocking at the door at inappropriate times just to harass, the mother. And so if I'm with that mother, now that's going to affect me. And so it's something that some of us guys, we would genuinely be concerned for is, what if the father is problematic and his family? That it's not going to affect only my partner now, but it's going to affect me as well. It's going to spill over and bother all of us. I think that there are a lot of ladies that don't consider this point, and this is number 5, is if things potentially don't work out between us, let's say me as the man coming into your life and the life of your children. If things don't work out, what if I connected with your child and what if they became very close to me? What if we bonded so closely that they do see me as a father, and maybe this son or this daughter has become so close to me that now they have become a part of my life, and it can be very difficult if things don't work out between us. Now I've bonded with them. It's like, what do I do? There are some women that will go as far as to say, hey, I still want you to be in my child's life because I trust you enough with them. But there are other women that can be very wicked. And let's say you move on to someone else after me, and that guy says, well, no, I don't want that ex, me, in the picture of our family. And so it can be very challenging. And I think there are a lot of women, like I said, they don't think about that aspect. That, I've had situations where I was bonding with, a lady's children, and now things didn't work out. It's like, now I don't have access to them anymore, those children. What about the movie nights? What about all the snacks? What about all the discussions about, video games and movies and TV shows? Like, what happens now? What happens to me? Now I'm stripped away from that. And so it's one thing if I have my own children with somebody and I can build that, regardless of if things work out or not. I'm still connected to that child. We can still continue those routines. But it's different if I'm considering being with somebody that they're the mother and I'm coming into the relationship, connecting with her child, her son or daughter. And so it's different. It's very different. So It's a concern. It's a concern. It's something that a lot of us guys, we think about, and some guys have actually gone through. Some guys have invested a lot of time, even money, regarding connecting with children for years, and things didn't work out. And it's like now we're stripped away from that son or daughter. And the last point is number 6, and this is really just the idea of, is there going to be gratitude towards my sacrifice as the man coming into the relationship? I know that there are a lot of ladies very proud, and maybe they've adopted some type of feminist mantra to some extent, and will reassure the guy that, hey, you don't have to worry about my child. I'll provide for my child. But realistically, I will be providing for our family. Realistically, there are going to be times when I'm going to be investing in, buying food and groceries or movie tickets or Disneyland trips and theme parks. We are going to the beach together, and I'm going to be fitting the bill for the gas, or I'm going to be investing in something, or even when it comes down to protecting you guys, I'm the one that's going to be willing to put my life on the line. There are a lot of us that are asking ourselves, is there going to be gratitude towards those sacrifices as a man? There are some things that we cannot negotiate as men. If there's a terrorist attack and we're at a mall together, I'm going to have to make sure that not only you, but your children, or our children, hopefully, is safe. Anybody needs to sacrifice themselves, there's an expectation that I be the one to sacrifice myself so you are okay and you guys are safe and you guys leave safe and sound. And so sometimes there are women that really take that for granted. They feel like, okay, you're the guy, you're supposed to do that. I shouldn't have to be grateful. I shouldn't have to be, offer gratitude towards your sacrifice. You should already be doing that as your default setting. You're a man. At the end of the day, there are a lot of us that we will ask ourselves, wait a minute, I spent X amount of dollars on this vacation for all of us, and is there gratitude towards this? What am I being reciprocated? Is there a mutual love and respect and value with what it is that I'm investing? Because there are other relationships that will demonstrate gratitude versus other relationships that won't. And so it's just something that I wanted to just kind of present to you guys, because a lot of us, we think about this stuff. I'm a gentleman that I've never been married. I don't have any children. And so there are a lot of ladies within my bracket that they have children already. And these are just concerns that I have thought about. But I thought I would just share these with you guys. I hope you guys were able to be edified by this and it was helpful to some extent. God bless you guys. Take care. If you have any thoughts or anything you want to just, reach out and share with me, I think I have my Instagram information and Facebook on my YouTube, or you guys can just hit me up in the comments, okay? Hope you guys were able to get something from this. God bless you guys. Take care. And remember, single mothers are made in the image of God just like everyone else, okay? So let's not hate on them. All right, take care and God bless.